Eric Halterman of RotoWire here with 6 players to pick up this week, and there's a common theme connecting at least about half of these guys, which is many of these guys had hype back in February or March, but then really struggled in April and were probably dropped if they were picked up in the first place, but they're worth a look again. And that's certainly true of Matt Shaw, who I was high on back in draft season after the Cubs dealt away Isaac Paredes in the Kyle Tucker deal, and then didn't bring in a third baseman other than John Birdie. It seemed pretty clear that they wanted Matt Shaw to be their opening day third baseman, and he was, but he was sent down in mid-April after hitting 172 with a 535 OPS. Shaw, though, looked totally fine at AAA, hit 286 with a 970 OPS, 6 homers, 5 steals in 24 games. Also, crucially, he cut his strikeout rate to 10%. It was 27% in that first brief taste of the big leagues, and I don't think Matt Shaw is someone who can succeed with a 27% strikeout rate. He's not a zero power guy, but I don't think he's going to have much more than average power, so if you're going to strike out 27% of the time, you better have real pop. I think, though, that Shaw should be able to settle in as an average-ish contact, average-ish power, average-ish speed kind of guy going forward, one with very limited threats to his playing time as long as he hits well enough to just remain in the big leagues. And hey, in his first 3 games back, 5 hits, 2 steals, just 1 strikeout as well. So looking up for Matt Shaw. Up next, we've got Will Benson of the Reds, who showed enough power and speed to make up for some real contact issues back in 2023. But then last year, he struck out 40% of the time and was basically unplayable. He actually still managed 14 homers and 16 steals in less than 400 plate appearances to give a sense of the power speed upside here. But Benson couldn't even earn an opening day nod. He was up for just 1 day in early April this year before being sent back down, or 1 game, I should say. But he's since returned with Jake Fraley hitting the IL with a calf issue. And while Fraley isn't going to be out much longer, Benson has hit so well that he deserves to stick around. He's now hitting .353 with 5 homers and a 1303 OPS in 11 games. Benson also has cut his strikeout rate to 26%, which isn't good, but if you were at, nearly 40% or over 40% last year, I'll take 26%. I'm skeptical that Benson will still be on your roster in August or September. He's just too streaky, and the whiffs probably will come back before too long. But while Will Benson is running hot, the power and speed are big enough that you don't want to miss out in roto leagues. Do note, though, that he's probably unlikely to start against lefties, which limits him probably to medium depth leagues and deeper. Up next, we've got Chase Meidroth of the White Sox, and I recommended Meidroth over a month ago, right after his initial call-up, but then almost immediately after I featured him, he hit the IL with a thumb issue. Meidroth returned at the start of May and was immediately reinserted into the leadoff role, which was one of the main reasons to grab him in the first place. Any everyday leadoff guy has a lot of fantasy appeal due to those extra at-bats and the extra run-scoring opportunities, even if that leadoff role is in the White Sox lineup. Now, Meidroth certainly has a leadoff man skill set, and by that I mostly mean that he has the modern leadoff man skill set, which is excellent on-base ability. For his minor league career, he walked 17% of the time, which was even more than his 16% strikeout rate. He got a 425 OBP down there as well. And through 27 major league games, Meidroth is walking 11% of the time, has a 381 OBP. Wasn't clear that he would run a lot. He topped out at 13 steals in the minors, but he already has 8 this year, so that might not be a concern. It looked like he would just be a batting average and runs guy, just a 2-category player, but now looks like he should be able to help you in at least 3. Just a 1% barrel rate for Meidroth, though, just 1 homer, thanks in part to a pretty elevated ground ball rate, 56%. That means I don't think there's really going to be much power here at any point this year, but if Meidroth keeps getting on base and stealing second, that has plenty of fantasy value even without much pop. I'll have more names for you in a minute, but first I wanted to remind you about something new we've got at RotoWire this season, promo codes. You can use the promo code YouTube15 at checkout to receive 15% off any RotoWire product. That's YouTube15. Moving to the mound, we've got Hayden Birdsong, who was a popular pick for pitcher sleeper during draft season, but he wound up losing the competition for an opening day starting spot to Landon Roop and Jordan Hicks. Roop has pitched well enough that he has stuck around in the rotation, but the Giants moved Hicks to the pen after he recorded a 6.55 ERA in 9 starts. So Birdsong has the spot for now and potentially has a spot for the whole year. He did not allow a single earned run in 5 innings in his first start of the year, Tuesday against the Royals. That brought his ERA down to 191. Although, don't get too carried away here with Birdsong. 191 ERA comes with a 357 SIERA, which is still quite good, just nowhere near the same territory. 24% strikeout rate, slightly above average, but an 8% walk rate right at league average. A 33% ground ball rate is pretty low. And we should expect his strikeout numbers to drop in the rotation. Although, on the other hand, Birdsong has struck out plenty of batters at every stop in the minors as a starter, and now he's getting the opportunity to pitch in a great pitcher's park with potentially better control than he's ever shown. He's always had walk rate issues, but if the league average walk rate sticks around, there's a lot of upside here for Birdsong. There's also probably plenty of upside for Will Warren, who was another buzzy name during draft season, and he did actually open the year in the rotation for the Yankees, unlike Birdsong. There's a good chance Warren was cut in your league, though, after a pretty poor start to the year. In his first 7 starts, he had a 5.65 ERA, 153 whip. Strikeout rate of 26% was good, but he walked 12% of opposing batters. But now over his last 3 outings, Warren has a 150 ERA and 0.89 whip. Got the strikeout rate up to 37%. The walks are down to 4%. And if you look at his pitch mix, you'll notice a more even split between 4-seamers and sinkers over those last 3. He threw more than twice as many 4-seamers as sinkers in his first 4. And this could be significant. A sweeper guy like Warren can struggle against opposite-handed hitters. And that has been the case for Warren, but a sinker could potentially help with that. On the whole this year, the struggles and the hot streak combined, Warren has a 4.05 ERA, which is okay, but the ERA estimator is a 297 xFIP, 322 SIERA. Those are already excellent. He's striking out 30% of opposing batters, so even if he has a slightly elevated walk rate of 9%, this is a profile that could work, and hey, he could keep cutting the walks as well and really break out. Finally, let's move to relief, where I'm going to go with Daniel Palencia, who is a candidate for closer of the future for the Cubs, and seemingly he's the closer of the present, or at least a committee leader, at least temporarily. Ryan Presley looked like he was going to be the guy, but he has a 5.71 ERA with as many walks as strikeouts this year. Porter Hodge was next in line, but his ERA is north of 5 as well, and he's currently out with an oblique strain. So that leaves Palencia as apparently the next man up. He's been getting opportunities this week. Even after he blew a save on Monday, he received a save chance later in the week. And a 2.16 ERA, 0.90 whip in 15 appearances this year. That looks pretty closer-like. However, 25% strikeout rate, nothing special for a high-leverage reliever. Comes with an 11% walk rate. Hitters have just a 171 BABIP against him. If that were a much more normal number, Palencia would look much less like a closer in terms of the results. But he does still look like a closer in terms of his arsenal. Stuff Plus thinks he has the best weapons in the Cubs bullpen, especially loves his slider. He's got 99 mile per hour heat as well. Looks like a closer to me. I'm not confident in him yet, and I'm certainly not confident that Palencia will keep the job all year. Even if he is ahead of Hodge and Presley, the Cubs really ought to make a move at the deadline. But it looks like, based on usage, Daniel Palencia is the Cubs reliever to grab right now, not Drew Pomeranz or Brad Keller, although those are a couple names to know for deep leagues as well. They've pitched pretty well.